So you stayed with me for another 57 minutes because you've become determined within the cycle of time that appears to have been occurring within your own mind that I can represent within that mind the entirety of a redetermination of yourself that has been predetermined. In a particular sense, our Course in Miracles is the fulfillment of a prophecy contained within all human relationships, that there is a solution to the problem of separation. Indeed, that's what a human conceptual association of mind is. It's an awareness of a beingness in life identity that finds justification within the idea of space-time. All of your science efforts point to the idea that while you appear to have evolved, okay, in the occupation of this body within this little earthly structure, the truth of the matter is you've always been employing an inevitable power of light that shows you the entirety of you. I'm always a little surprised at the determination both to verify the idea of evolution within a time cycle, that is, that there are levels of consciousness, and to deny it by the idea of a totality of a religious association with God. Look at me. What possible difference could it make? What I'm offering you is an evolution, or better, a revolution of your own mind that cannot not change the constitution of the body identity that you have heretofore utilized in order to express yourself as separate from God. The inquiry that's been coming up in the focuses of this Course in Miracles and in the necessity to reject it are very simply, are these the teachings of my Savior Jesus Christ? And of course, any evidence that I would present you with could not afford you any true denial that it is true, except that you are determined not to accept the fundamental premise. The fundamental premise of Saviorship, and this would be true whether within the Christian tradition or in the idea that I'm offering you in the teacher's manual, which is fundamentally the same, that somewhere within time, within this idea of illusion, is a solution that you're searching for. But you're only searching within the parameter of a definition of yourself that is already over. So that in the appearance of any Savior would have to be the idea that all of your ideas of yourself, this is the Old Testament, are already over and gone, and since they're gone, there's no truth in them. And the reason they're gone is because I'm here. This is the New Testament, and if you'll turn and look, right next to you is your Savior, Jesus Christ. This is especially for Christians. There's a lovely sermon. One of the ministers this morning was very emphatic in his declaration that Jesus was with us here. Of course he is. If you remember the last hour that I did, all of your configurations of ideas of death are actually present with you. The absurd idea that you would take the message that Jesus or I am offering you, or anyone in a new illuminate mind, and turn it into the idea that he had to die and perish in order that you could be saved, are the antithesis of the teaching. It's exactly the opposite of what he teaches. What he teaches within this frame, and I may just read you a little bit, is that everyone that you're encountering within the particulars of sin or separation are actually who your Christ is. Can you hear this? This is my Savior Jesus. I'm going to read you a little New Testament. But before I do, I have to finish real quickly the relationships in the new formulation you are finding with your brother, who in truth represents your Saviorship. And as difficult as that may be to you at this slow time factor, it remains that he's a product of your own mind and will represent to you anything that you really want him to within your relationship. If you want to recognize right now with me that my illumination through my recognition and practice of the teachings of Jesus Christ are available to you, it'll be true. Why? Because they are available to you. And it has nothing to do with the particulars of my apparent separation from you telling you that it's true. Because if you employ the discipline of your denial, you will believe that I am a body separate from you, destined to die as you have crucified Jesus. I didn't want to go that far with it, but why not? Obviously, if any whole mind comes and attempts to represent to you the entirety that your home is in heaven, you cannot not deny it, because everything within space-time is an establishment of your denial of your home. Say to me, I'm not from here. This is not where you're from. And everyone who is configured within your own associations is also not from here. Not only is that true, but you know you're not from here. Biblically, the foxes have their holes and the birds have their nests, but the Son of Man has nowhere to lay his head. And the reason he has nowhere to lay his head is he's not from here. All I'm really showing you in this mind training is that you're an alien here. You don't belong here. So that when Jesus occurs in time, or master teacher, or say your name to me, Ralph, is that you, Ralph? Are you the Savior of the world, Ralph? Say yes. Say to me yes, Ralph. Dorothy? Lucille? Louise? Jose? Are you the Savior of the world? Of course. Am I certain you're the Savior? Yes. Shall I tell you why? The world is an aggregation of your own thoughts about yourself being shared by everyone who wants to hear you. This is the new continuum of time, the new age, the being born again, the idea of the second coming, the certainty that Jesus is not only back with us now, but never left us. And that his Course in Miracles can train your mind in a systematic way to shorten time. Because no matter how much time actually appears to pass, the time will come and did when he demonstrated resurrection and is now verified outside of time your inborn capacity to express it with no resistance. Because when any one single mind demonstrates the entirety of it, it was demonstrated by all minds. That's the offering of recognizing each other in this time cycle. So let's complete this teacher's manual. Just a reminder, they call me Master Teacher, and I'm teaching from the teacher's manual of A Course in Miracles, which is a consortium just outside of time, demonstrating the converting agency that occurred through Jesus' resurrection. Listen. We're just going to surpass the third level now, aren't we? The third level of teaching occurs in relationships which, once they are formed, are lifelong. These are teaching-learning situations in which each person is given a chosen learning partner who presents him with unlimited opportunities for learning. These relationships are generally few, because their existence implies that those involved have reached a stage simultaneously in which the teaching-learning balance is actually perfect. This does not mean that they necessarily recognize this. In fact, they generally don't. They may even be quite hostile to each other for some time, and perhaps for what they think is their life. Yet should they decide to learn it, the perfect lesson is before them and can be learned. And if they decide to learn that lesson, they become the saviors of the teachers who falter and may even seem to fail. Why? No teacher of God can fail to find the help that he needs, very simply because that help is available to him at this instant by the teaching devices that we are using in recognition of our own Saviorship.